Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the LFMS Marketing Symposium. And I have got the most gorgeous woman here by the name of Dolores Hirschman. And I am so beyond excited to bring her on board today. She is all about clarity and TEDx talks. Wow, we are in for such a treat today. So I'm so excited. So welcome, Dolores.
Well, thank you, Angela, for having me today. I'm very excited to be here with you today.
Well, thank you for being on board. And it was so funny. Dolores and I were just having a quick chat beforehand, and she mentioned a friend of mine that she's coaching right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know her, like she just mentioned. And it's so funny how we were just discussing what a small world this online space is once you really get out there and get more visible. So we're going to talk about getting visible today. But before we dive in and really dive into Dolores's specialty, which is once again TEDx and clarity, I would like Dolores to share a little bit about herself and her story.
Awesome. Would love to. So I always say that when I graduated from, first of all, I have an accent.
And I love your accent.
And I'm going to say that because the other day I gave a whole hour-long presentation, and you get to the Q&A. First question, where are you from? And I'm like, oh no, that person has not heard a thing I said, because they were trying to figure out where I was from. So that you guys can put that question aside, I'm from Buenos Aires.
Oh.
So I was born and raised in Buenos Aires. And when I graduated from high school, I wanted to be an actress. And my dad is like, great, go to business school, then we can talk. And so I come from a background of business school, which I endured, but it was the best thing I ever did because it gave me a great framework to channel my creativity. So I have both analytical and creative side of my brains pretty active. So I have been here for about 20 years. I'm a mother of 4 children. Now I have four teenagers. I once had 4 toddlers. Now I have 4 teenagers. I'm not sure what's worse. And I've always built my own version of motherhood and entrepreneurship since very, very early on. I've designed my life as a mother and as a professional my way. So I actually have started 3 very successful businesses.
Wow.
And they were all aligned with my kids' schedule first, but also they were all aligned with a need that I saw in the market. So you can say that my companies were always story-based or purpose-based, if you want, without knowing that was a thing, without social entrepreneurship didn't exist, but that's just how I roll. And so when my youngest went to school full-time and I had more freedom to move, I began being more of a consultant to companies. And I realized that I could talk strategy until people were blue in the face. I couldn't make them do it. Right. And what was in the way was they couldn't lead a team successfully or they couldn't manage themselves successfully. So I went back to school for coaching. So where does this all bring? So 3.5 years ago, I launched my coaching business and I was doing mostly coaching and I loved it, but I wasn't satisfied. I'm someone that if I'm not having fun, it's not going to last. I'm a quick starter. And I said, what am I really, really passionate about? And I'm passionate about ideas. And so at the time, I had already been involved with the TEDx and TED world. I had been co-organizer of a small event in 2011. And I had been part of the TED conferences. And I said, what would I really want to do for free? And I said, well, I really like to be around ideas with people with new ideas, helping people with ideas. So I said, well, let me go back and volunteer and run a TEDx event in my community.
Ooh.
So in 2015, I put together a team and we started looking for a location to host a small gathering, 200 people. And the biggest venue in town came to us and said, what do we need to do to have you do your event in our venue? And we'll give it for free. Well, we'll do whatever you want. And I'm like, but that's 1,200 seats. And they're like, we'll help you. So we said yes. So since 2015, I've been running one of the biggest events, if not the biggest, in audience TEDx organized event in the East Coast.
That is phenomenal, Dolores. Wow, that is so exciting. So I have a question for you. That very first one where you're like 200, 1,200. Okay, that's a big leap. How many butts in the seats did you get?
1,100.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Okay, so that's another whole topic in itself. Like I want to interview you for that alone. Wow.
Well, you'll find that the answer to all the questions of how did you do it will come to the same answer.
Sure. What is that answer?
That is going to be the main takeaway that I want for your audience today.
Okay. Well, then we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well,
You have an amazing story. Wow. So really, we're going to talk. So her topic is 18 minutes of impact, how to engage your audience the TED way and learn the steps towards your TEDx stage. So let's talk about the very first thing, because I think you have to have clarity, right, before you even get there. So what does a clarity coach do? And then can you share how you kind of sort of got there? You sort of already did, but, you know.
So it was really, sometimes you say yes to things that inspire you or are calling you, and in your heart says yes, and your head says, that's insane. Why would you take on a 1,200 people event that you're volunteering your time for? I have 4 kids and I financially contribute to the house.
I have 3 teenagers. Yes, so I get it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have 2 boys. So anyways, just so you know.
Well, I have only 1 girl. So
you get it.
So anyway, it was saying yes to that was crazy, that revealed what I really love to do, and honestly what I really am good at. I'm good at coaching and I'm good at strategy. I can do that and I love it. But what I'm really good at is helping people, guiding people towards clarity. Mm-hmm. How did I find out? Is in that first event, I decided to coach all the speakers that were coming to my event. In my gut, I knew I could do it. I just had never done it. And so I volunteered over, I think, 100 hours in those 2 months. And I coached one-on-one these 16 speakers. Wow. And what I learned is that people, and these were people that were selected to speak. So obviously they have some sort of level of clarity because the application had to showcase that. But when you ask someone, what is the one message you want to deliver? They immediately will go into like a story, or let me tell what I do. And then you can figure out what I want to share. And so I realized how hard it is for people to answer the question, what is the one message, the one idea that you have for the world? And can you express it in 6 words or 1 short sentence? So that's how I became a clarity coach, doing these clarity calls for my speakers, where I literally unpacked their thoughts. And just by listening, which is what a coach does in many ways, using a lot of my coaching skills, I could really read between the lines of the tasks and the actions and the work that they do to really understand what they actually stood for. Because here's the thing with TEDx. In order to speak on a TEDx stage, you need to move from talking about what you do, which is what most of us do, to talking about what you stand for.
So it's almost like, just for those of the women that are new to the whole TEDx arena, it's almost like you have a cause or something, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I call it cornerstone idea.
Cornerstone idea. Okay.
And it's interesting because in the process of coaching, I went, so right now one of the things that I've incorporated into my business, just because people started coming out of the woodwork and said, can you help me clarify my message? And can you help me get on a TEDx stage? And so now, and I did this even that time, the first time when I volunteered my time, I start my coaching with personal exploration. Okay. So I always say that that idea that you want to bring into the world is a cousin of your life purpose.
Ooh.
Because if you think about it, and I don't know how many of your audience have ever done the work of really anchoring the life purpose. In coaching, I am a CTI trained coach, and one of the exercises or the modalities that we use for life purpose discovery is stating your life purpose in a metaphor, which sounds grandiose, which sounds like very aerial and very, not tangible. But it's fine if you're basing your life in this life purpose that should be good and valid for the rest of your life, right? But when you're talking about the one idea you bring to the world, you want to make it tangible. Because if you make it really broad, like I want to help people love themselves.
Well, that's too broad.
Great, but what does that mean? How do I do that? How do I grab you? How do I, learn more, right?
Okay.
So when we talk about the idea and the core idea of a message, we want to do it very, very, very tangible. And that's what I do. Because a lot of the people apply, and that's one of the problems. I run this event and I get about 250 applications every year for like 15, 16 slots.
Wow.
And most of those applications don't go through because they fill out the application and say, oh, I have a great story. And I always say a story is about you. It could be inspiring, it could be emotional, it could move your audience. But if you didn't do the work ahead of time of unpacking the story to learn the lesson or the idea behind it, then it's really hard for you to give a gift. And as a speaker, you always want to stand on a stage and be very clear of the one gift that you want your audience to take. When we first started, you said to me, what I want to make sure that I understand what you want my audience to take. What is the takeaway? That is the gift.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so lack of clarity on the gift you want to deliver from stage.
Right. So really, when you break it back down to like marketing speak, if they were to want to get on stage and say, for example, perhaps reach out and hire you to teach them how to get on TEDx stage, which we'll talk about in a minute, they really need to have clarity around their life purpose, because at the end of the day, when they walk off that stage, they want to give a gift, like something, a takeaway that's going to inspire their audience to reach back out to, go do something magnificent and reach back out to them and follow them and become part of their tribe, and like it increase their visibility. So that makes sense. So with that in mind, Dolores, can you explore and share more what is TEDx? I mean, I know what it is, but there's a lot of women that are new to the online space that are building their business. I have a lot of the women that follow me are in the coaching space, the fitness space, entrepreneurial space, a lot of spiritual type people that follow me. So it'd be really great if you could explain what the TEDx is, because not all of them know.
Absolutely. So TED began about 30 years ago, and TED, I don't know if you know this, Angela, but TED stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design.
I did not know that. I just knew TEDx,
Yeah. So TED is Technology, Entertainment, and Design. It was born in, I don't know if it's Silicon Valley, but in California. Actually, Long Beach, California. And the purpose of the original TED Talks was to bring together the trendiest, edgiest players in those three verticals, if you want. Then later on, it moved and it was bought out by somebody else, and they began expanding the verticals or the topics. And in 2010, TED, the main organization, which is a nonprofit, and they're now based in New York, decided, what if we grant individual licenses to people, regular people, I'm just a regular person, around the world, so that they can have the TED-like experience in their communities. Ooh. For what? For the purpose of showcasing best ideas, best practices, or change makers, and so that the community can rally around them, can follow them, support them, give them the resources, or simply pay attention and understand what is, because I believe, and this is why I do this work and I'm passionate about this, is that ideas that impact the world are what are the seeds of our evolution. Mm-hmm. And in my work, I actually take a stand for ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I am like the cheerleader of ideas, and I coach the people that hold the ideas so they get out of the way of the ideas and they allow the idea to realize its impact.
Very true. I love that.
I believe that we're gifted with ideas on how to impact the world. And that we have obviously a choice of saying yes or no. And that when we say yes, which is really scary, I actually did not do this work. I resisted doing this work for like 3 years. I knew I had this, and you probably have experienced this. A lot of the women that I work with, men too, but mostly women, have this sense of like, there is something I'm supposed to do. It's eating me up. I don't even know what to do, where to start. And that kind of stuffed impact inside with the lack of clarity of how to express it can really, hurt us in the long run.
Well, it really can. You're absolutely right. So once you went through this whole process, and I know that, they reached out to you, you've been doing this one now, 3 years?
So this is my third, I'm now organizing my third event consecutive.
Okay.
That is my fourth event total. And I've been coaching for 4 years.
So if a woman thought, okay, I want to become, get on the TEDx stage.
Or any stage, because, some of my
right? To get more visible, to really get their brand out there, get more clients, what would you recommend the first step would be? Now, I will tell you, it's easy, just hire you, right?
Yeah. And so let's say that they hire me. What do we do first?
Yes.
We go into personal exploration. I need to really understand who you are, how you're wired, what makes you tick. One of the questions I say, what would you do for free all day long? Because what I'm doing right now and what I do every single Monday to Friday, I would do for free all day long. Don't tell my clients. But it really, I'm fueled by the work that I do. So it's sustainable. I am passionate about this work. And so you have to understand who you are first. And then go into that space of dreaming. What would I be if I had any capacity to dream? Okay. Because most of us play small because the dream that we have for ourselves is so big. It is scary. It is very scary. I have been growing, and you probably, Angela, have experienced that. I don't know and you have a lot more experience than me, that, as women entrepreneurs, whatever business you're in, you push yourself, you grow, you get a little bit comfortable, and you realize, I'm going to my next level. And you kind of backtrack a little bit. It's like, some people will go I put my covers over my head, or I'm not going to do that speaking engagement, because there is such thing as fear of failure, but there is such thing as fear of success.
Mm-hmm. It's huge.
And visibility, which is what your clients want, is what your clients need to realize the impact. It's scary.
Yes, it is definitely scary. It is. And not only is it scary from a personal point of view, but I will tell you, especially in the online world, as you get more visible, obviously you get higher expectations. People have higher expectations of you. They look at you a certain way. They have in their mind a preconceived notion of how you're going to behave and what you're going to share. You will get people coming out of the woodwork that love you. You'll get people coming out of the woodwork that won't love you, right? There's not only your own internal stuff, but you have the external you have to deal with too, and you have to be prepared for that.
Yes. And here's the thing, you asked me, I think you said, that the whole TEDx and 1,200 people was a whole other conversation. And I said, it is on the details, but it is the same cornerstone thing. And I said, and it's also going to be the same thing that your audience I would expect to take away from here. And yes, people have other expectations, but here's the thing. when you don't have any other expectation but to show up as authentic as you can be, from an intention of always serving, not of being right or wrong, because trust me, I'm not right or wrong. I don't even know what right or wrong is, but I know I can serve. And that you know that what you're doing is what you're meant, wired, and you were designed to do, then the visibility becomes much easier. What happens with the visibility when it gets really hard is because you are putting in your head expectations of what you should look like or be like that are not you. If you're ever, obviously you have some rules of engagement. Like I put on some makeup.
And I did go put lipstick on, sweetie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's obviously some basics, and because we want to feel good too, but you really, in today's world, my experience, and you and I were talking about that this world, this space is changing. I believe that who is making it further and who is getting attention are those people that you connect from a heart, intuition, gut feeling the moment you see them online.
Right.
That doesn't give you permission to be sloppy. That doesn't give you permission to shoot really bad videos.
Right.
But it does give you permission to be spontaneous.
Absolutely. I love that. That's wonderful. So really your message really is, the big takeaway here is to get more visible. Yes, there's certain steps you need to take. There's certain things you do to get on stages, to be on a TEDx stage, but really the cornerstone is you have to know yourself and what your own personal, what you want to do with your life and the message you want to get out there. And people, that's something deep. I mean, it takes time. So I think for me, like the takeaway would be like, even after this, I'm sitting here going, wow, I really want to think about this, because I was sharing with you, one of our mutual friends, has been telling me, Angela, you need to get back on stages. I used to do that and I don't. It's been like 10 years. And I'm like, well, I like being online and I do, but she's like, you've got a message. Now I'm sitting here going, really, the message I have, is that really the message that I want to share with the world? I'm not sure, right? Like there may be something else deeper inside of there that needs to come out.
Yeah, it's right? The layers of the onion. And the thing is with Angela, I just come back from, I don't know what, sometimes it works this way. June was insane for me. Every single week I was traveling. I actually came home last night, 2 a.m. And I have to say that I look back at June and it was the most fun I had all year.
Wow.
Even though I do great work online and I love it and I interact with people, I'm with people all day long.
Right.
I do not replace the actual hug.
True. And it's so interesting that you said that. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I just had a conversation with another amazing lady I interviewed that's on the symposium. And her big thing, we were talking about how we're so connected today, but yet we're so disconnected.
Yes. And that is a problem.
Yes.
That is a problem. People are looking for that deeper connection.
Exactly. And I even find that in my own children, 3 teenagers, they're always on their phones and I'm like, get over here and give me a hug. Mom loves you. And so just, on a little, this is a side impersonal note, but even with my own children, every single night without fail, I'm in bed with my husband. All 3 boys, they're all 13, 15, 17, come around and they give me a big hug. We've been doing that since they were babies. And it's that whole thing of, I love you, I'm your mommy, I connect with you, and I'll always be there for you. So even when we're texting from one end of the house, something, this or that, it's still that human connection. And I think it goes back to what you say, like when you want to get out there in front of people, it's great to get out and travel and get in front of people. That doesn't mean that you have to do it every single day, but it definitely can get your visibility out there, and it's a great way to connect.
It feels you. And going back to your personal story, it doesn't just happen.
Right.
It did happen. It was intentional.
Right.
And so that's another takeaway here is authenticity is authentic, but it's also intentional.
Exactly. Um, so the other quick question I have for you, is there anything else that you feel like people, if they're thinking about getting out on stage or doing TEDx talks, they should know, like something they should be prepared for, they should think about before they dive into this world?
Yeah, so definitely clarity of your message is key, as I said. And then there is a process of where to find the events, what to look for. I always say, as I said, TEDx are independent licenses granted by TED to enrich a community. So if you belong to a community, first approach an event that happens in your community.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard to get onto these stages. That's why, a lot of people are coming to me for it. And I actually, one of the things I've been working on is I'm creating a very cool project that I'm not even sure about it too much, but that I think is going to really impact this space and help people with this visibility, specifically with TEDx, and get a community that support each other, of what I call my clients and the people I work with, and probably your clients too. I call them ideapreneurs. They're idea-based entrepreneurs. They're not just there to make money. Of course, they have to make money, and there's nothing wrong with making money. But they are in love with the idea, and they become unstoppable in realizing the impact of that idea. And because of it, then they're seeing financial reward. So definitely clarity, look for local events. There's a resource that I was mentioning that I think I can send you the link, or it's in my website, mastersinclarity.com/free book, where I actually have an online book where I talk more about all these details and steps.
Well, and that is wonderful. So definitely that is a free gift that you're offering. I love that. And we'll obviously have the link as well. So Dolores, this has been absolutely phenomenal. One of the things that I always like to say is, I'm just so grateful that you took the time out of your busy schedule. You got home at 2 a.m. and showed up for us. And I love all of your magic and all this stuff. It's amazing. Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that you're in the TED space. I just think it's amazing. I think it's a great food for thought for women that really want to get massive exposure and increase their visibility. And I think the last thing that I really want to say about all of it is, along with, getting visible, getting on stages, it also comes with a lot of responsibility too. Because you will be seen, you will get very visible, and people will look to you as a role model, for lack of a better word. And I think that's really important for you to think about before you get started on this journey.
Yes, and I think it goes alongside the authentic thing. Being a role model doesn't mean you're perfect.
No.
It means that you're a role model. So if you're playing in this space and you are willing to be visible, you're also willing to be vulnerable. And nothing speaks more to audiences than showing them the good and the challenging, not the bad, because I don't think it's bad. It's where we grow, what makes us better. So there's some days that are great days. There's some days that are not great. I actually have a blog post, I think it's called, I did a couple of years ago, what if I don't want to close a client today? And it was me explaining that I had a photo shoot scheduled, and I woke up and it was just not, it was beyond, bad hair day was the beginning of it. But I had it all scheduled and makeup, and I couldn't afford to cancel it, and I just still had to show up. So it's like, how do we show up? How do we self-manage, but also how do we show what is a weaker side or the space for growth? Let me put it this way: we are humans having connections with other humans. And our humanity, as we become visible, our humanity is probably the most attractive side of us that we can show.
Yes.
Because it's our imperfection that attracts people, not our perfection, because our perfection is not relatable.
No, it's not relatable at all. I mean, it's okay to share where you've achieved, but you have to share the journey and be authentic.
And in that, I have to say, and this is a personal story, But my breakthrough came, especially in the last year, when as a mother of 4, and mostly mother full-time with my husband being the main breadwinner, all that changed December 2016 when my father-in-law fired my husband in front of my kids after 27 years in business. And as of January 1st, 2017, I've been the only breadwinner. And so for a month, I resisted it. I said, I can't. And then I had to sit down, and my husband actually sat down, and he looked at me. He said, look, you can, and you will. You've been wanting to do this work since I've met you. You know that you have, you know that you have a purpose, and you know that you're here to help a lot of people. Let me be the one that runs the show in your back end. Let me be the kids, the house, my kids are older. Whatever you need me to do, I will do, because you need to shine. And I know that you can also provide for us, but it's not the providing alone, is that sometimes people say the breakdown before the breakthrough.
Yes.
Boy,
done that.
Boy, did I get one. And I'm still going through it, to be honest, because it's so messy.
No, it's a big transition, because I support my whole family as well. And I've been through something very similar to you. It was a while before, but it's still the same concept, and I get it. I totally get it. So I hear you, and there's emotion. And so for any of you women that are out there listening to this, and if you've gone through that, where you've had that shift, where you are the breadwinner, and your business is what provides for your family, we both get it. It's a big responsibility and a load to carry. And we're here for you, and we understand. But what I will say is you can do it, because there is a purpose, and there's always a reason behind everything that happens. Good, bad, ugly. It's how you deal with it and how you own it. Don't become a victim. Absolutely.
Exactly. And it was so tempting. I tried the victim for like a month. It didn't really fit me. But I tried. It's like, daddy, the whole thing. My mom, my family's Argentina. My mom's comment was like, okay, Dolores, this is great. You went on a trip and you took too long to come back. Now you can come back. Like, just move into my house. But the thing is, I had 2 choices. I had the choice of saying, okay, I'm going to close more clients, and I'm going to follow the sales scripts and do like what the gurus say, that you have to create, create hunger, and create scarcity, and create like the fear that if you don't sign up to work with me, you're going to die, right?
Right.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm not like that at all.
I had that choice, or I said, or I just can show up for who I am, not owning what I do really well, which I know that what I do it really well, and I have great success stories, but also at the same time show up with what I'm struggling with. Mm-hmm. And it was an email I sent in Thanksgiving, because this all really started in October. And I said in the Thanksgiving email I said, I am thankful today for what we have, and I'm thankful today for the struggles my family is going through.
Wow.
And this woman that I had met, her name is Mandy Bass, that I had met online. She's in the speaker space. I think I had purchased some of her products in the past, but like I really didn't know her. She sent me an email, and she said, honey, what's going on? I had never really talked to her. And we hopped on a call, and she said, let me help you. Let me just promote your next webinar. Your stuff is good. Let me just send it to my list. In that webinar, I think I had 250 people registered, which were too many to take private clients, because I was only doing private clients at the time. That webinar launched my group program.
Wow. In
December 2018. And I doubled my earning between December and January, which has allowed us to continue doing what we need to do. But it was by tapping into my fears and leaning into my fears and revealing my fears, versus being the hardcore, I am perfect, you should hire me because I am perfect. heck no. I am really good at what I do, but I am scared
Shizzless.
to step into that place.
Yeah, no.
That's authenticity. And so for anybody out there going through this, and I actually said this at a conference this week, and I was just sharing, and I had a line of people waiting to hug me after I shared, men and women.
Because you're authentic and it's real.
And because they had gone through something like that, and they said, you've got this.
You do have this, and you know what's really interesting, Dolores, in our economy and the way things are changing so much, I mean, so rapidly, there are so many women out there, and I'm going to be very vulnerable and share, there's so many women out there in our same space. I mean, I provide for my whole family, you provide for your whole family. There are so many women that have online businesses that provide for their whole family, or there's women out there that have husbands that work part-time or work full-time but don't make enough, and they're working and they're starting a business and they're trying to figure out how to, you know, get more visible. And alls I will say about that whole thing, because I've been there, I mean, I've been where I took on a job so I could pay for a really high-end coach at one time, and I still have my online business. I did both, right? Because I knew I had to level up. And I remember when I first started this business back early 2000s, I had quit. I was making six figures as an IT professional, information technology, and I quit my job. My husband was making $35,000. We lived in San Diego. Literally, our house payment was $4,200 a month. I started a little daycare. We were $3,000 in the hole every month on credit cards, just because I'm like, I can't work another 14-hour day and have 3 babies. Like, it just doesn't work. And I got online, and I literally, this is how I did it. And I'm going to share this story because, and I've gone through different things. My career has gone like this online, but how I started is I hired a nanny. I put all my kids in one room. I hired a nanny to come in for the summer for 4 months. And she lived with us. So room and board, she took care of all my kids, all the daycare kids, and I gave her a little salary out of that. I cleared it with the parents, of course. I sat in a laundry room that was big with a ratty old computer, our nasty big old computer back in the day, an old $10 desk. And I sit in there 10 hours a day, and I learned how to market online. My breakthrough was I learned how to get free leads. Well, they were like 99 cents off eBay. I watched a guy do it, and I backtracked, backtrack to figure out how I did it. I wrote an ebook, sold it for $27 or $37. That's how I got my start, but it took me 4 months of doing that. And I had to get super creative. And my husband was making $35,000 a year. I'm sorry, but we didn't have it either. We were like down to our last $67 when that happened. When there was a fire in our garage, and I just am like, I've got to make a change, right? So you can get more visible no matter where you are right now with your business, whether you're making money or you're not making money, or you don't have the support, financial support, you can do it. You just have to reach out and be authentic. But I don't help people that play the victim, though. That's my big thing. And that may sound hardcore, but I don't.
Yeah, you can't function as a victim. And here's the thing. You and I probably talk this language too, and I'm sure most of your audience does. There's an energy,
right,
that transpires based on where you're standing. And so that's why I always, with my clients, I begin with who are you and where are you?
Right.
Go. Because in order to do this work, you need to design who you want to be. And the being a victim
won't get you there.
You can't.
No, you can't play the victim. You can't have the sob story. I don't have money, or
from that place.
Yeah, it's like I tell people this, and I'm going to share this, and I think this really will relate to Dolores, and then we'll have to wrap up here in a minute. But when you market, when you get on stage, when you start writing your TED Talk, whatever you do, if you hire Dolores, you have to come at it from a place, not a place of fear, not a place of victimhood. Because here's what I learned in the past few years. If you could sit and write a TED Talk, right? But if you're writing it in a not so great energy space, it will come out in the talk. If you're marketing on Facebook and you're putting out posts and they sound good, but the energy is of fear because you're afraid you can't pay your bills, it will come out. Like negative energy will attract even in all your marketing, your talk, you're standing on stage, it won't work. It will almost like you'll attract all the victim people, all the broke people that can't afford you anyway. So it doesn't matter where you're at right now, whatever space you're in, just get your energy in the right place. Get aligned, get your personal development figured out. Hire this beautiful lady named Dolores to help you with your TED Talk. She's amazing. I know because one of my really good friends hired her and I didn't even realize it until we got on here today. It's so funny how the world is so small. But Dolores, is there any last thing that you want to share before we wrap up?
If you want to succeed, spend your time doing the things you love and serve from that place. If you wake up every morning and say, how can I help someone today? How can I help today? You have no choice but to succeed.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Well, thank you, Dolores, for being here. Everyone, thank you. And stay tuned for our next amazing speaker at the LFM Marketing Symposium. Have a wonderful day.